What's up, dorks? We've got another educational day here in Castle Debris. I'm going to walk you through our new picture frame molds, our speed rack, oven, and finally the press. I'm going to show you how we turn recycled plastic scraps into new slabs so we can cut out brooms, brushes, everyday things for your home. We're using the world's trash to help clean it here in Castle Debris. Let me walk you through that process real quick. For those of you that are new here, I just want to show you this is what we're going to end up with, a nice slab that we can cut anything out of, brooms, brushes, household items. Here's a brush we cut and filled here in Castle Debris, but this is the end goal. Recycled plastic goes into this frame and a slab comes out. Here's our catalog of recycled plastic. A lot of this comes from sign makers. It's our own scrap that we produce here in Castle Debris. All these offcuts get remelted. Everything that comes out of the vacuum on the mill gets recycled. We've got colors to choose from. Inside of these blue bins, we've got thousands of pounds of white plastic ready to go. That's old shampoo bottles. I've got some of it right here. But first, we need to fill this mold. And to do that, we've got to weigh 15 pounds of plastic. And how do I know it's 15 pounds? Let me show you. AI is taking our jobs, but it's really helping me with my job right now. I can tell it the cavity size of that new picture frame mold. It knows the rough density of HDPE. Now that's not always the same, but it'll get you in the ballpark. And then I've got converted to pounds down here. So I need about 15.5 pounds to get that going. Let me walk you through that process right now. We've got our scale set up, tear it out, ready to go. As we went through earlier, I need to fill this mold up with recycled plastic so I can turn it into this slab. Here's my bucket over here. Again, I can take offcuts from other things we've already made. I can scoop from our library of plastic. And if I was really wanting to do this quick, I could stick a whole slab in here. Say I didn't like these colors or something went wrong or there's an air pocket, I can melt that back down again. Now I can scoop 15 pounds of scrap from here, but that's not really what I want to do because it uses up all this valuable color. What I do have is a lot of white plastic, and I can mix that in, help this color plastic stretch a little bit more, but I'm not going to make you sit here and watch me scoop 15 pounds of plastic. I may have not made you watch me scoop all this, but I am going to make you watch me load this up. So I wanted to show you some of the scrap. Here's something that never turned into a broom handle. Here's some offcut because we had some squeeze out on a previous molding attempt. Got a lot of black in here. I've got a few thousand pounds of black plastic to get through. But I also wanted to show you is a dustpan. We're making dustpans. This one's a mess up. Can't remember which operation I messed up on, but it's a mess up. It's in the scrap bin and I get to remelt it. Now I can't remelt all the products all day long. This plastic's only got so much life in it. But with the stuff we're doing here in Castle Debris, I can make that stretch pretty far. Got some cool colors going on. You know, in the future, I'll stick to certain colorways and things like that. But right now, we're just going for squirrels and having fun. Here's some big chunks I'm going to put in here to get me to 15.5 pounds. Some offcuts. I made some skateboard rails out of that. Boom. Dustpan's going right on top right there right now. Now, I do want to show you one more thing. We also have this. And this goes over top. This one's a little too small for this picture frame mold. But if I had a lot of fluffy plastic, I'll show you what that looks like. This is what comes out of the vacuum after we cut things out on the mill. Nice fluffy plastic. And you can imagine the volume on this is relatively high per pound. So I need to extend the height of these picture frame molds so I don't have overflow plastic everywhere. We're not going to do that on this one. We're going to keep it simple. Will I spill it? Live. Now the trick is to not let any plastic slip under the frame. I'm most certainly going to do that right now. I'm breaking a few of my rules for this video. I wanted this thing to be extra high to show you how much we can do at once. But this is 15.5 pounds of plastic. And out of that, I can probably get about 10 brooms. So that's a win for me. Let's pop this oven open before we roll over the speed rack. Now in the real world, I'd have this speed rack filled top to the bottom with plastic, but this is YouTube. I've got this great light armor oven right here. I can roll my speed rack right in ever so gently. Kick the wheels, make sure they're in as well. Lock it up. E-stop, power. Okay, we're on. We recently upgraded our oven to light armor. We were using a lab oven before, but now with our speed rack, we can roll in 15 slabs at once. We're aiming for 375 Fahrenheit. But while we're next door to the press, let's take a quick gander. This is kind of a Harbor Freight special. I've actually bolted 2 presses together, and then we've got 2 of their bottle jacks just running off pneumatics right now. We're about to switch to hydraulic, but there we go. We're gonna stick the plate in there. Probably in about 2 hours, we'll make a pancake out of that plastic, and then we'll let it cool in the press for a little bit. We'll be ready to cut stuff out. What's up, dorks? It's been 3 hours. Let's crack the oven open, see what we're working with, and quickly get it in our Harbor Freight special press. All important gloves are on. Go ahead and turn this off. This is kind of my final destination moment. That's how I plan to go out. Got our plastic here. You can see the white stuff kind of oxidizes, but it's just that top surface. It's not the whole way through. Let me get you a little bit closer. Here's a closer look at the plastic. You can see the white plastic that I put in there got a little too hot. We're gonna drop the temperature on the next batch. Maybe it stayed in 20 minutes too long. We're trying to avoid those little edges over there, but really that's just on the surface. That's not all the way through the plastic. You'll never see that once we start cutting into it. This step right here is why we switched from steel molds to aluminum molds. We have a jack that we can use to get these lower plates in and out. You know, I don't want to be holding on to hot metal for this long, but at this height, I'm cheating, and I can just slide it right into the press. Get it in. Got a fancy little foot pedal down here to help us get this more efficient. I'll have the same thing when we switch to hydraulics next week. It's gonna get loud, hang on. Slowly but surely, we're making a plastic sheet here. You're gonna see some squeeze out right here in the front. I overfilled this mold a little bit, as you can see. There you go. Okay, let's run upstairs to the top of Castle Debris where it's quiet. Through the hallway of shame. And now we're up here and you can actually hear me talk again. You saw some plastic get squeezed out there. That's not ideal. It happens. Different plastics, different densities. I added a lot of that dense black plastic and a lot of that white shampoo plastic. So density was kind of mixed bag in there. We'll solve it on the next one. Learning lessons. This is my tough shot. Oh, I almost fell over. I'm so old. Okay, it's been about an hour since this went into the press. If this were a production run, I've had multiple plates in here stacked up, kind of pressing against each other. I wouldn't have as much squeeze out because I would have done my math right. But here we are, it's YouTube. I'm not gonna hide anything. To be fully transparent, I've already cracked this open to see where we're at. There's a lot of squeeze out here. All these little blobs are not usually what we end up with. But you know what? I've been filming this video all day and we're gonna look at it either way. I'm gonna show you where I messed up and how we're gonna make these top plates a little bit bigger. That way we don't have this squeeze out. We need all the plastic to stay in there and fill all those little cracks and nooks and everything else. Let's go ahead and lower this. Pop it out. This does have mold release on it. There we go. We've got a big old crater. You can see our dustpan remnants still exist in this. You can see the oxidation on the top. Look at the bottom. Look how great that looks. Look, aluminum mold slides right out. So I'll get you in here and take a closer look, but look how cool this looks. This is all recycled plastic. You can see the old broom handle in here. Flip it over. Again, the dustpan still exists. Let's get in close and look and see where I messed up. It's not perfect. It's not great. But once I cut things out of this, it's gonna look amazing. So let's get in here, look around. Look at all these swirls, all these little goodies. Again, all this stuff that looks like it's burnt, it's really just a thin layer on top. This is sitting a little too close to the heating element. I don't love that. We're gonna turn the heat down and go slower on these. But right under the surface, there's a bunch of clean plastic ready to go. It's gonna shine once you cut it on the shop saber over there. It's really gonna start to sing. Let's flip this thing over. You can see I've got a few divots in here. I don't really love those. They usually get cut out. So depending on how the sheet comes out, it kind of defines what you're gonna cut out of it. I can cut a brush out of this one. I can cut 10 or 12 brushes out of this. That's a great yield. Some of these divots will usually get cut out. I surface both sides before we do anything. All this flashing, all this overfill needs to go away. We need to dial in, 15.5 pounds. It's worked for us in the past. We have to get these top plates adjusted because it wants to squeeze out of these little voids. It finds it. Ugh. And then you end up with these craters on the top, which I don't love. The cutting tools don't love it. It needs to be smooth up here. Save us some steps. That's what we're working towards. Thanks for watching this whole video. If you made it this far, do I say it? You know what to do. But we're here for the swirls. Yes, we could make molds that are exactly the same size as our brushes, brooms, handles, and things like that. But we're really in it for the swirls. With all those other ones, you kind of get that explosion of color. But we're in it for all these little details here, like we've got in this one. It's a long YouTube video. None of these videos existed when I got started. So this is my first attempt at sharing how we take this recycled plastic, turn it into new stuff. This isn't precious plastics technique. It's definitely adjacent. I hope this helps someone out there. Enjoy.